Good morning to you. I want you to look around the sanctuary and see what colors are there on the altar, behind the altar. The pastors are wearing some special colors. What is this? Red. Why are we wearing red today? And look out in the congregation. There are a lot of red shirts. What day is it? It's Red Day. Well, kind of. It's kind of Red Day. There's another word that we use for it that goes back a little farther than Red Day, but that's a very good guess. Any other guesses out there? It's a word that starts with a P, ends with a cost. It is Pentecost. Today is Pentecost in the church. Every year we have a day of Pentecost, and we get out the red because it is a special day. We heard this story, and maybe you were listening, and maybe you weren't, about what happened. The disciples came together, and what appeared on their heads? Flames, fire, that's right. Fire on their heads. Why? What did they do after that?
They start speaking languages.
That's right. You know the story. They start speaking in different languages so people can understand them. And you know what they're saying? They're telling about Jesus. Well, I wanted you to have a chance to see this happening. So I have a video for you that tells about the day of Pentecost. It's from our story curriculum that we went through a year or so ago. And it goes beyond even Pentecost, but I want you to have a chance to watch and hear this video. So we'll play it now. You can look up on the screens on either side.
One day after his resurrection, while Jesus was eating a meal with his disciples, he told them that they would soon be given power to take his message all over the world. They would be given the Holy Spirit of God, he said. After he said this, Jesus flew up into the sky right in front of them, and they did not see him again. So the disciples waited and prayed. 10 days later, they were gathered, and a sound like a violent wind came from heaven and filled the house. They looked around and saw what looked like tongues of fire dancing above each of them. They all began to speak in different languages, causing such a commotion that a crowd gathered to see what was going on. Someone accused them of being drunk, so Peter stood up to say something. He told them that they were not drunk, but that God had given them the power of his Spirit. He recounted the story of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, and told the people to repent of their sins and trust in Jesus. That day, 3,000 people believed what he said and became followers of Jesus. The followers of Jesus ate meals and prayed together almost every day. Amazing things continued to happen. People were being healed. Others were selling their possessions and giving their money to the poor. The number of people who joined them just kept growing and growing. The disciples, now called apostles, began teaching in the Jewish temples. This angered the religious leaders. Several times they beat up the apostles and threw them in jail. One religious leader in particular, named Saul, was determined to destroy this new movement of Jesus' followers. So he went from house to house in the region and arrested those claiming to follow Jesus. Then one day, while Saul was walking down the street, a bright light from the sky flashed. As he fell to the ground, he heard the voice of Jesus speaking to him. "Saul, why do you persecute me?" Jesus commanded Saul to get up and go to the city of Damascus. Saul got up, but when he opened his eyes, he couldn't see. With some help, Saul traveled to Damascus, where he met a man named Ananias. Ananias placed his hands on Saul, and something sort of like scales fell from his eyes. Suddenly he could see again. Ananias told him that Jesus had orchestrated all of this so Saul could receive the Holy Spirit. This experience completely changed Saul's life. He became a follower of Jesus. Soon, Saul would set out on an extraordinary journey to tell others about Jesus.
So we heard and saw this story about how the Holy Spirit gave power to the disciples and gave them faith. And now the Holy Spirit does the same for you. Thank you for coming and worshiping today. You can go back and sit with your families as we continue with worship.